Hi, I'm Angelica Barriga, and I lead business planning as a senior program manager on the Google Global Networking Team, or GGN. I've been a member of this organization for nearly 5 years, and I'm proud to be part of a team that demonstrates a commitment to connecting the world and users and cares about its people. I'm here with Bikash Koley, GGN's vice president, who leads the teams that design, build, and operate Google's global network. Hello, and welcome, Bikash.
Thank you, Angelica, and hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce you all to Google Global Networking. I've been at Google for 10 non-consecutive years. First joined Google in very early 2008. It was about 18 months after Google acquired this tiny video sharing website called YouTube. And believe it or not, even then, the traffic was growing like a hockey stick. And we all realized all of a sudden that we needed to build a real network at scale. The next 9+ years, I had the funnest job in networking in the world, building, designing, and developing one of the largest network at that point, and still did. I took a detour in 2017, and I joined Juniper Networks as the Chief Technology Officer. But my true calling has always been hyperscale network. So I decided to come back beginning of this year, and I have the honor and privilege of leading this fantastic Google Global Networking team. It's one of the most talented group of network enthusiasts that you're going to find anywhere in the world.
Well, first off, Bikash, can you walk us through what GGN does and how that fits into Google's overall mission?
Yeah, of course, Angelica. Let me explain to you what this team that we have built here does every single day. Put simply, Google's global network team connects every Google user, customer, and employees to all Google application services and infrastructure globally. So if you, as a user, have used at least one Google application today, be it Search, Google Assistant, YouTube, Gmail, Map, maybe Google Cloud Platform, maybe Google Meet, you have relied on the massive global infrastructure that the GGN team design, develop, build, and operate. We are your connection to Google. Now, you might already be familiar with Google's mission, which is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. The Google Global Networking Team's mission is to enable the world's imagination with dependable, universal connectivity. We are the bedrock that all Google services rely on around the globe. Without its reliable, far-reaching network, Google simply could not deliver on its goals.
Let's go a bit deeper. Can you tell us more about the network, what its evolution looks like, its reach, and what it looks like today?
Yes, of course, Angelica. So Google's global network consists of a system of high-capacity fiber optic cables that encircle the globe under both land and sea, connecting our data centers to each other and to our users. When you as an user access any Google service, traffic flows over our dedicated global network, optimized for speed and reliability, until we hand it off to more than 3,000 internet service providers globally for local delivery, the last mile, if you may, using hundreds of points of presence around the world. We operate globally 16 data centers with 5 more that are coming online soon. Now, if you are a Google Cloud customer, to you, this translates to 24 cloud regions and 73 zones all around the globe. Now, while most of the Google application that you rely on and utilize every day, they're served from this massive scale data centers or this warehouse scale computers around the globe, we also do our best to deliver these applications to you with the highest performance, the lowest latency, and the best reliability that we can. And the way that we do this is by building a massive scale edge infrastructure around the world. Each dot that you see in this picture is one of Google's edge location that are in 200+ countries and thousands of internet service provider location that allows us to reach our users with the best possible performance for all Google applications such as Google Assistant, Google Meet, Google Maps, and so on and so forth. But most importantly, though, Increasingly, we are delivering highly latency sensitive interactive applications such as Google Assistant, such as YouTube TV, where we care about latency a lot. And it's this massive global edge that allows us to deliver the services with the best possible quality that you expect, honestly, from Google in delivering to you. So all this compute around the world, how do we connect them together? Well, all our DCs and edge infrastructure require a robust network, and we have been investing for well over a decade in building this infrastructure. Our network is powered by a complex system of terrestrial and underwater cabling. Now, if you look at the terrestrial network, they're everywhere. They're found underground, along the railroads, over bridges, in the air, on telephone poles and utility towers. They traverse mountain. They basically go anywhere where you are to go and reach you. And of course, they go anywhere where we have a data center or where we have an edge location. But as I said, this network is global. So obviously, we have to connect the continents. And we do that by building underwater cable. Google is either a private owner or a consortium member in more than 14 subsea cables around the world, making us the world's largest global submarine network provider. Google, by the way, was also the very first major non-telecom company to build and operate our own private international subsea cables. And we continue investing in this space heavily. And that is actually a perfect segue in the decades of innovation that has gone into building this global network that I'm truly, truly proud of. Time and again, we encountered challenges in delivering at Google scale that did not have a solution at that point. So time and again, we charted our own course and we frankly broke new ground. It started with building our own backbone 2 decades back that is known as B2. But as I mentioned, when YouTube became part of Google, we had to start building a massive scale global CDN that is called Google Global Cache that we continue growing and scaling. Then came the data centers, and we had to scale our data center networking at an unprecedented scale for which we just simply did not have a solution out there. So we introduced this new architecture that is now known as the scale-out architecture in data center in this technology called Watchtower that was very quickly followed by this other technology called Freedom. We also realized that we needed software-defined control of our network, and that led us to building the very first large-scale software-defined network controller called Onyx. We had all these applications that were utilizing our network, and we had to figure out a way of giving this applications isolation, as well as a way to control the bandwidth that these applications put on the network. And that led to building this really amazing technology called Bandwidth Enforcer more than a decade back. Then we went on to building a truly software-defined global scale backbone that till date is the largest software-defined backbone in operation in the world called B4. And as this traffic was growing, we're also very rapidly scaling our optical network, both in the terrestrial fiber as well as in submarine systems. And we hit scaling limit again. So introduced this new technology for the first time in the optical domain called open optical line system that still allows us to scale our infrastructure and keeping up with the demand that we have. Around the same time, we also introduced the next generation of our data center networking technology called Jupiter, which allowed us to really scale our data center to an unprecedented rate. And as we're doing this, we realized that it was not enough to just have software-defined networking. We needed intent-driven networking, and that required us to have an open API, an open way of configuring all of our network switches and routers and optical devices. And that led to this technology called OpenConfig that is now widely used in the industry. As cloud was picking up, we took our concept of software-defined network to cloud, and that led to this new technology called Andromeda. And while we're doing all of this, our demand for applications that utilizes internet as a delivery mechanism that kept on growing, and we kept on innovating in delivering applications the most efficient, the most performant way on over public internet. And that led to these technologies such as QUIC, gRPC, and TCP/BBR. And finally, as we're scaling our internet edge, we realized that the same concept of software-defined and intent-driven network can very easily be applied to this global peering edge that led to a new technology called Espresso. And of course, I talked about the private subsea cables. Now, these are only nuggets of the amazing technology that we have built over the years, but we're not at all done because our demand and applications and our network keeps on scaling, and that requires us to keep on innovating. And we're working on many innovative ideas right now that I'm sure we'll talk about in the future as they get introduced in our network.
Quite the evolution and more to come, I'm sure. So I'm going to shift gears a bit. Can we talk a little bit about the team? What are some of the core values of this team, and what are the team's commitments to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Great question, Angelica. Look, any great infrastructure can only be built by an amazing team. And what I've always found is that amazing team is always built on great values. So like any amazing team at Google Global Networking, we care deeply about our core values, the values that each one of us individually brings to the org. And that value for us is being great to work with. Before all else, our people, our customers, and our users matter. And if we aren't taking care of this basic value, we are much less likely to execute well. So everything else really follows from this fundamental principle. And it's this focus on people and our commitment to being an org where everyone thrives that leads us into our focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are always focused on improving our inclusiveness. We are constantly focusing on retention and advancements of everyone in the organization by offering mentorship and opportunities, as well as GGN participation in events and conferences that are designed to increase access for underrepresented groups. We also care deeply about hiring at parity. We recruit underrepresented groups through improved hiring practices all across GGN. And finally, we are always working on increasing GGN Googlers' understanding and awareness of bias through training and increased transparency. And we do that, in various different ways. We talk about that in our town halls. We have regular roundtable discussions that help us develop awareness across our organization. But most importantly, we believe in OKRs, objective and key results, and we carry clearly defined OKRs that help us develop awareness for diversity, equity, and inclusion across our org.
Great. So what kind of roles does GGN hire for, and where are its teams located?
One of the very interesting thing with Google Global Networking, even though it has the word networking in there, obviously networking is important, but we are the operator of the largest network infrastructure in the world, which means that there are many, many different functions and different skill sets that we have in the org, and we're always looking for talents across those various different skill sets. So, very concisely, if you are excited about solving the hardest problems in networking, distributed systems, dependable operation, predictable delivery, we have a place for you. We have a wide range of roles that we hire for. We hire network engineers, obviously. We hire software engineers. We hire the best data scientists. We hire the most talented program managers. We hire strategic negotiators, and many, many more. Really, if networking excites you, more than likely, we have a role for you in Google Global Networking. And in America, one of the greatest things about GGN is that we are all over the world, from here in the Bay Area to Denver to London and to Singapore. We're really showing on this slide the locations where we have the most team members. But in reality, in order to build a global network, we actually have team members that are almost everywhere in the world. So it doesn't matter where you are. Again, if networking is something that you're excited about, we most likely have a role for you. So please give us a shout.
Far and wide reach, indeed. We're coming up on the end of our interview, but before we start with attendee Q&A, could you speak a little to what makes this team so special and why people should consider joining it?
America, I've had the funnest job in networking for a decade at Google because of this amazingly talented team that I get to work with and learn from every single day. I'm truly, truly proud of being part of this phenomenal team that powers every Google service and connects everything and everyone to Google and to each other. And as I mentioned, we are building an org where everyone thrives. Even after 2 decades at it, we are just getting started. So if networking excites you, chances are we have a mission for you. So please come and join us. And that's probably a perfect time to actually go take a few of the audience questions that are coming in. So Angelica, if you don't mind reading the questions that are coming in, I would answer them.
Absolutely. Let's take a look here. The first question, what were some of COVID-19 impacts on the network related to reliability, scale, supply chain, work from home, and travel constraints? And was the massive global network redundant?
What a great and timely question. This pandemic has been completely unprecedented, and these last 3 months have been really unprecedented for everybody around the globe. But for our GGN team, this team builds, designs, and operates the network to truly perform during times of high demand. The same systems we built to handle peaks like Cyber Monday online or to stream the World Cup finals. It's the same network that supported the increased traffic as people turn to Google to find news, connect with each other, and get work done during this pandemic. Now, believe it or not, during this last 3 months, daily usage of Google Meet has increased to 30 times what it was in January. People are obviously utilizing video conferencing for learning and for working. We're also seeing very different usage patterns in products like YouTube. We see double peak and weekend-like behavior in weekdays. But even with those changes in usage pattern, even with the increase in peak traffic level, we have always been well within our ability to handle the load. Although much of the social and economic impact has been wide and unprecedented across the world, our network did exactly what we designed it for. It connected the world when it's needed the connection the most. Now, interestingly enough, some of the stringent constraints that were imposed by COVID-19, they resulted in real improvements in some of the approach that we have applied to networking that I truly believe will outlast the pandemic because it made our network better. So first, we lean heavily into automation and zero-touch networking to help continue our network deployment across the globe, often utilizing smart hands while this demand kept on growing. And our Googlers, our Google Global Networking folks, were unable to physically travel to many of these locations. Now, that focus on automation just made our ability to deploy our network globally much better. And this is one of those things that is going to outlast this pandemic and just going to make us better long term. Also, during this pandemic, we were very thoughtful about keeping the networks around the world up and running and available to the customers. So if you look at global internet, it has two parts of the ecosystem. It has the content providers like Google, and it has the last mile providers, the ISPs and the telecom carriers that ultimately allows all of our users to get access to all the information as well as video conferencing and so on. So we wanted to make sure that the load on our telecom partners network remained under control during this pandemic with this increased usage. And in order to enable that, for example, we temporarily defaulted all videos on YouTube to standard definition. And that truly is an example of working closely with our ISP and telecom partner to just make the ecosystem better for everybody, not just for us. It's really about our users and our customers, right? And then the third one that I wanted to share, our supply chain utilized some truly sophisticated buffer planning and inventory management pipelines to stay ahead of this really sort of unpredictable demand increase that we saw during this time. And all of that really made our operation of the network just better. So it's truly going to outlast this moment of unprecedented pandemic around the world. And it's going to just make us stronger and better as a network operator. So getting back to the exact question, was the massive global network redundant? Yes, in exactly the right way. The way we built deliberate redundancy so that it actually allows for accelerated demand, continued scale, and ultimately reliability and performance for users. That's what our users really want from our network, and we just delivered on that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. What is that one thing you dream future networking should achieve?
This one is really near and dear to my heart, and I've been dreaming of this for decades now. I dream of a truly autonomous network that is self-healing. We have been making progress on this journey over the years, and a lot of the innovation that I talked about before that are really on, their steps in this journey. We have made great strides in making our network truly zero touch. None of our network devices are ever touched by any human for any configuration or management or operation at all. It's all software controlled. The next frontier is for the network to autonomously respond to changes and bring the network back to the intended states without any human intervention. So it really starts with building a completely intent-driven network, which we have. I talked about OpenConfig before. That was a step towards building a truly intent-driven network across the board. So we have one. The next is having real-time and high-resolution visibility into everything that is happening in the network. Now, we have also made some real progress in this front with streaming telemetry across our software-defined networking stack, but a lot more needs to happen at every layer of networking, be it optical, routing, all the way up to L7 application layer networking. We are just always looking for higher resolution, better visibility into everything that is happening in the network. And finally, once you have an intent-driven system that allows for high-resolution visibility, one can start thinking about applying advanced AI and machine learning techniques to really build a closed-loop system where the system itself should be able to respond to changes to the network autonomously. So again, if machine learning, data analytics, large-scale distributed system, intent-driven networking, any of these things excite you, we have a mission for you. We dream of the day when we can really build an autonomous network at every layer. And again, as I mentioned before, we are just getting started in this journey.
Definitely sounds like an exciting mission to make that dream a reality. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the next question. We'll take a couple more here. What are you looking for in prospective employees? And do folks need expert level certifications?
Again, as I mentioned, Google Global Networking, it is truly one of the largest operational network in the world, and we need all kinds of skill sets to really build and design and operate this network reliably. So there is really no one size fit all for the roles that we have or the qualities that we look for. But at the end of the day, we look for folks that can add different perspective and experiences to our teams with curiosity and really desire to learn. I shared some of the GGN relevant roles earlier, and truly the requirement varies across the roles, right? Although, in the technical roles, we tend to require domain expertise in the fields of computer science, engineering, mathematics, network engineering, distributed systems, and so on and so forth. But we have lots of non-technical roles that might require expertise in business, marketing, sales, negotiations, to name a few, right? A job may also require additional certifications according to the job level of the specialization, right? But most of all, there are some broad qualities that I look for, and they involve analytical thinking, ability to learn and work quickly, think outside the box, really learn new emerging technologies and methods, and most importantly, work cross-functionally and influence the teams around you. We talked about our core values. We really look for people that really care about these core values as well, right? So the requirements do vary, but if you're interested in working with colleagues who think big, truly big, like Google scale big, and enjoy taking on fresh challenges as a team, I really invite you and encourage you to visit careers.google.com. Lots of helpful information there in all the roles that we have, and we are hiring. We have tons of roles that we need to go and find the most talented folks around the world from all sorts of diverse backgrounds. So please go and check it out.
Very good. Okay, I think we have time for one more here. Let's see. Cloud providers may become competitors to telcos, especially in the enterprise space. What is your take on this?
What a great question to wrap this up with. So, it is always tempting to view the traditional relationship between cloud providers and telcos through the lens of, being competitive to each other, right? In reality, though, internet is an ecosystem, and it requires both content companies and the eyeball networks, or the telecom companies that ultimately connect the users to all the contents. And telecom companies have always been natural partners to us, be it with content, with YouTube, with Android, or on the digital transformation journey that many of the telecom companies are. And if you really look at telcos today, there are some pretty massive technology advancements that are happening that are truly disruptive. On one hand, there is this really amazing mobile technology called 5G that are just getting rolled out, and that is driving a new sets of network-centric business models. But they're also introducing an explosion of connected devices and applications that have really raised consumer expectation from what these networks are, right? And these telecom companies around the world, they have enormous potential because they ultimately reach the end users, right? They have this enormous potential to harness the power of 5G, not only as a connectivity solution, but also as a business service platform. And this is where Google Cloud is directly focusing on telecom as a very important vertical for us, where there are three strategic areas that we have picked that we're heavily investing our technology, our innovation, as well as our partnership with the telcos, right? First, helping the telecommunication companies to monetize 5G as a business service platform. It's not just about consumer, they're very important, but also how do you take advantage of this very new, modern, innovative technology to offer new services to enterprises that are just not possible before, right? Two, empowering the telecom companies to better engage their customers through data-driven experience. And this is where Google's expertise in AI and ML comes into play. How can the telecom companies make better sense of this massive consumer information or data that they have, and that allows them to serve their customers better? And finally, assisting them in improving operational efficiencies across core telecom system. And there, it's a combination of data and analytics and automation to help them, both driving efficiency and monetizing the system better. So to help them do this, we have unveiled our global mobile edge cloud strategy, which directly takes advantage of the deep global edge that this global networking team has built over a decade now. We have also announced this very modern hybrid application management platform called Anthos, but we are taking this technology built on Kubernetes called Anthos, and we're optimizing it for telecom applications, which brings Anthos application platform to run network functions, very stringent, high-performance network functions, anywhere that the telcos want. It could be on their own data center, it could be on their edge, it could be on Google Edge, or it can also be on Google Cloud. So it gives the telecom operators options in how they turn up new networking service and how they monetize it. Whether it is on-prem or whether it's on public cloud, it's the same common application delivery platform. And finally, as I mentioned before, we're bringing our market-leading AI and ML capabilities to the telcos to really transform their network, IT, and customer experience. So summarizing, I'm personally really excited about this space, and I'm really excited about together what we can achieve in partnership with the telecom carriers. So a lot more to come. So please stay tuned, and we're very excited about the journey together with the telecom operators around the world.
Well, it looks like we're out of time for today, but what a great set of questions from the attendees. And I want to thank you, Bikash, for walking through the global network journey, what we can expect next, and for sharing your experiences with us. And for those of you who joined us online, thank you for your time and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Angelica, for hosting us, and thank you all for taking the time today. Really great set of questions, and looking forward to seeing you all sometime very soon. So thank you all very much, and have a wonderful day.